SZA won last night. Coco won. You know, a lot of new artists, young artists. But it's the storytelling to have Celine Dion, who is not doing well, to come out and give Taylor Swift her record-breaking fourth album of the year. I thought that was powerful. And many would say it was Kanye West that made Taylor Swift what she is today by going up on that stage and taking that woman's Grammy and saying Beyonce deserved it. That probably was the moment that Taylor Swift became all of the things. I'm not disparaging her because she's extremely talented, not celebrate her. But, you know, and then have Beyonce in the audience and then have Jay-Z get up there. And I don't know if he was casting shade. I want you to help me break down his acceptance speech because he seemed nervous. He grabbed Blue. Blue was like, I ain't really trying to go up on the stage with you, Daddy. But oh my God, he got me going up on the stage. Okay, I guess I got to go up on the stage. Poor Blue was like, what? And he was like grabbing her to come closer. And she was like, I don't want to be up here. And so he said, when I'm nervous, I want her to be, she's nervous, I'm nervous. But Jay-Z gave a speech I didn't expect. Didn't expect it at all. So let me play it, Charles, because I want to hear your view on it.
It's great to have an award for such an icon. How far we've come with Will Smith and them, Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince winning their first Grammy in '89 and boycotting because it wasn't televised. And then they went to like a hotel and watched the Grammys. I didn't even understand what wasn't a great boycott. We're here. But then, '98, I took a page out of their book. I was nominated for Best Rap Album, and DMX had dropped 2 albums that year. They both were #1. Shout out to DMX. And he wasn't nominated at all. So I boycotted, and I watched the Grammys. I'm just saying, we want y'all to get it right. We love y'all. We love y'all. We love y'all. We want y'all to get it right. At least get it close to right. And obviously it's subjective. Y'all don't got to clap at everything. Obviously it's subjective because, you know, it's music and it's opinion based. But, you know, some things, you know, I don't want to embarrass this young lady, but she has more Grammys than everyone and never won Album of the Year. So even by your own metrics, that doesn't work. Think about that. The most Grammys, never won Album of the Year. That doesn't work. You know, some of you gonna go home tonight and feel like you've been robbed. Some of you may get robbed. Some of you don't belong in the category. No, that was it. No, when I get nervous, I tell the truth. But outside of that, you know, we got to keep showing up. And forget the Grammys for a second, just in life. As my daughter sits and stares at me nervous as I am. Just in life, you got to keep showing up. Just keep showing up. Forget the Grammys. You got to keep showing up until they give you all those accolades you feel you deserve. Until they call you chairman. Until they call you a genius. Until they call you the greatest of all time. You feel me?
All right, couple of corrections. Tamara Joy is from the Bronx. I'm gonna claim Jersey. And Kanye was the VMAs where he went up and got Taylor Swift's statue, not the Grammys. But thank you, Smith, for the correction because we want to be right. He said some things, Charles Coleman. First of all, let's start with the boycotting. Jazzy Jeff and Fresh Prince boycotted, but they went to a hotel and watched it. And then he said, I boycotted on behalf of DMX, and then I went and watched it.
And then I went and watched it.
Yes.
Yeah, I think that sentiment kind of sort of encapsulates what my very potentially unpopular opinion may be about the overall statement. To what extent are we placing value on the validation from this system? Mm-hmm. Either you are going to validate yourself vis-a-vis their awards and their categories and their characterizations or the categorizations of your work, or you were going to divest from those systems and simply say, as we in America have had to do, I'm going to validate myself by clapping using the two hands that God gave me, or for the people I make music for. Now, are you making music for the Academy, or are you making music for your fans? I think that those things are valid questions and considerations.
No, they're great questions. But as we often say on this program, two things can be true.
Sure.
If this system that we're in, it's like Jasmine Crockett running for office. She wants to win. Now, she's a valid social activist. She works in her community. She does all of the things, but she wants to win so that she can do more, right? And in this system that we're in, bestsellers, which I have, Pulitzers, which I have, all of these quote unquote accolades gives you more platform to be able to do more things. I'm somebody that has those things. So I'm speaking from absolute experience. Every bestseller brought more book deals that allowed me to do more things for more people because I'm wired that way. But it opens doors. It opens where I got a whole imprint at Simon & Schuster. They weren't going to give an imprint at Simon & Schuster to somebody that didn't have a string of bestsellers and couldn't demonstrate their ability to sell books. So two things can be true. You're absolutely right. I didn't need validation. I knew I was awesome. However, I also know that we're working unless we're going to divest from this entire system, which I'm open to. Let me just say that out loud. I'm open to creating our own systems. But in the meantime, you build while you build. You build your system while you're in a system. I always tell my students, when you go to a job, you first of all know where the power is. That's your first job. Know how you make money. Know how the job that you're in makes money, because the only way that you're going to secure your position there is to know how you're making money for the company. And if you see, as I saw at the Daily News, this thing called digital expanding, and the space that I'm in is shrinking, that's the future. So I either need to get in digital or get the hell out. So I chose the latter. But that said, to your point, Charles, yes, we don't need validation. But if validation gives you more opportunities, it's like LeBron in the rings. He had to get a ring in order to be all of the things.
I think I hear what your point is generally. I think that there's some, the analogies don't always carry over, but I don't even want to necessarily delve into that because I know we got time. I think that going back to your original statement, though, when we first started tonight's conversation, you said you noted the nature of the abusive relationship that we are in with respect to America. And one of the concerns that I have with a speech like that, I'm not touching the Beyonce part yet. Let's save that for last if we can, because I think that has like a number of layers that I'm super excited to talk about. But keep going back until you give you the title, until they call you to go, I think that there is a very scary space there for too many of us who are in spaces where no matter what we do, that's never going to happen. And so for telling them, like, keep going back, keep showing up, I'm concerned about how that lands. I think that keep doing your work, keep pushing your craft, keep creating your art. Those are fine messages. But like, keep showing up to the same spaces that continue to deny you until you get the title that, and let's be honest here, for the vast majority of us, is never going to come. I'm very I tread lightly in that space.
So should the folk in the civil rights movement not showing up to the lunch counters and getting their heads beat in every day until we were integrated? Should they not have shown? Should they not have kept walking for that year and change to boycott the bus company that was disrespectful? Should they not have done those things? I mean, I hear exactly what you're saying. I'm going to chew up the meat, spit out the bones, meaning I'm always going to take in what is valuable because I'm always building something, where we have autonomy, because I don't trust this environment that we're in. So to your point, when I'm listening to Jay-Z, I'm looking at a black man running the Grammys. I'm looking at a whole production team of black people who put the Grammys on. Last night, I saw so many Black people on the stage, and it's not about race as much as it is about inclusion, because we're foundational to music. There's no country music without that banjo and that guitar, come straight from Africa, by the way. There's no rhythm and blues. There's no Beatles without Little Richard and them. There's no Elton John without Tina Turner and them and Patti LaBelle. There's no Mick Jagger without Tina Turner. All of y'all's favorites, all your rock and roll. David Bowie will tell you. So go to David Bowie. Don't talk to me. Talk to David Bowie. There's none of them. There's no Adele without us, without Motown. So I'm like, Sam Smith. At the end of the day, there's no Taylor Swift without Black people. So we have a seat. We don't just have a seat at the table. We built a damn table. So you're not going to deny us. So to Jay-Z's point, we show up until you figure it out. But we're going to keep making this music, and we're going to keep making this money, and we're going to keep making a difference. But you're going to acknowledge us. We're not to be silenced or to be disappeared. I refuse to accept that.
Last week we had a conversation, and I talked about the ideology around our politics. And I think that this is very much so an extension of that discussion, in as much as ideologically, you raise a good question. I don't necessarily know that I think that there are two main roads, right? I don't necessarily know that one is better than the other in the sense that you have one ideology that says, you know what, I'm going to focus on building systems for me and for us that really are about validating us and creating spaces where you can be labeled as the GOAT, and you won't necessarily be invalidated. You don't have to fight twice as hard to get your recognition. And I think that is one approach. I think that there's another approach that says, you know what, we're going to keep showing up. Because, for example, you asked about the civil rights movement. I question whether everyone who participated, and I've talked to people, never thought or never considered or never wondered openly, well, instead of fighting to be included in their spaces, maybe we should be fighting to have our spaces truly be separate but equal. Maybe that's the approach. So I think I don't necessarily know that definitively there is one way or the other. I think that there are different ideologies, and reasonable people can find a way to support one or the other, or both, for that matter.
As I'm listening, Charles Coleman Jr. is here. I'm thinking a couple of things. That colors only water fountain that my mother had to drink out of in Augusta, Georgia. My grandmother couldn't vote because she was a Black woman. To me, I feel like what you're not going to do is tell me where I have to drink or where I have to sit or where I can't go because of the color of my skin. I can't stop at this rest stop. I can't eat at this lunch counter. That had to happen. That had to be erased. Now, we have a de facto segregation in all of our neighborhoods in several states in our union where people run to escape the brown. You're never going to escape because it's in your DNA. But that said, I was also thinking, I think people don't think that they're inherently racist, Charles Coleman. I think people do not really. I don't think the Academy, the Oscars are looking at these movies and saying I'm being purposely biased. They just don't consider us because in their world we don't exist. We exist as mammies. We exist as butlers. We exist as subservients. We exist as people that are not genius, which makes American fiction all the more powerful. That they're laughing at the wrong parts in that movie because they don't get it, because we've had to fold ourselves into these little tiny versions of ourselves to be palatable so that we can make a living, right? Mm-hmm. And we've done it for so many decades that this is all they know of us. So now you got a Jay-Z showing up, punching them in the face at their own Grammys, using their Grammys as a drinking tool, drinking champagne out of it, and basically telling him to kiss, you can kiss my ass as he accepts a Grammy. That to me is the most, and they're not going to do anything about it, but give him probably another Grammy. Here's what I've learned, Charles Coleman. When you have that level of autonomy and you've built your own thing, it is a lot harder. And I learned this lesson at the Daily News when I started my magazine and got $1 million from Bear Stearns and came to work every day. There was a level of respect that I received where my boss saw me for the first time as an equal, and the whole paradigm changed to the point where I could do anything I wanted at that point in that space because I didn't have to be there. And all I'm saying is you teach people how to treat you. And we have to do that
Absolutely.
work. We have to do that work. I'm not running away. You're not going to ignore me. You're not going to pretend like I don't exist. I may make you very uncomfortable. And you may want to run to a Van Jones because he makes you feel good about yourself. But I'm here to tell you, and I'm name checking because this is what they do. Van Jones makes me comfortable, and he's black, and I'm not racist. Yes, you are, because the system that we're in is racist. And for you to embrace Van Jones, give him $100 million, give him a platform or whatever, when black people are telling you he does not represent us, is the tone deafness that we have to be very loud about. That's why I'm name checking him. And we all need to name check. Stop giving us these pick-me people that you've decided because you're comfortable in a room with him or at a dinner party that that's the black person that you're going to knight. No, he doesn't represent us, period. Full chest. Full chest. You like him.
Well, I think I agree with you. I think that we have to, one of the things I talk about a lot is gatekeepers, because there's a lot of folks in the space who are compromised. And we have to give voice and be honest about who these people are. And as my friends and I say, get them about the paint. The one thing that I will say is part of what makes it more challenging is you say he doesn't represent us. And I understand what you mean with that statement. But I will also say is part of the problem is that for us, we're not allowed to have multiple representatives.
No,
that's part of the problem.
No. Let
me finish my point. Let me finish my point though. In other spaces, when you're because you looked at this or you opened this up in the paradigm of race. In other racial spaces, there are a plethora of folk who are allowed to sort of represent, if you will, or come to the table or give it a microphone. We typically are not given the space where there are multiple people from community who are allowed to represent us. And so that's where part of the issue becomes.
None of these
they're not giving $100 million to more than one of us.
No, none of these other communities were brought here in chains and built this country and then were relegated for 400 years to a low caste, bottom
no
of
argument there.
No, but there's a different relationship. We were on plantations where we were under the lash, told what to do, how to think, when to eat, when to sleep. These other people coming in through Ellis Island didn't have that. They don't have that abusive relationship with America that black people do. It's a completely different thing. So in this case, for me, it's about freedom. And my only question is this man going to free us? You had an opportunity. You work with Prince, one of the greatest artists and humanitarians on the world, on the world, to get black kids, black boys involved with coding. You did not get 1 million or 100,000 or 10,000. I think he told us, what was it, 100 people? Prince gave you money to do that and you did nothing with it. You had an edict before that with Obama. You abandoned the energy thing. You had dreadlocks and it was all cool. Then you moved over here and you're crying on TV and you're getting all these accolades. No, I'm saying, and I'm using him as an avatar for the problem that we're discussing right now, because it's not about Van Jones. It's about the ability of somebody outside of our community to tell us who is our leader, who they're going to. And it's not about his political ideology. I don't really care. I don't even know what it is, if I'm being honest, because he waxes and wanes where the dollars go. But I'm saying to you, Charles, it's a different, the stakes are higher here, and we don't have the luxury to have different views on freedom. To me, until we can get free, then we can have as many views as possible. Many different. I'm like, freedom is the goal. Is this?
I think that's a really, really important point that has a lot of layers. I actually have an entire lecture on freedom that I give, and while generally speaking, I am aligned with you, I think the difficulty is in the details, in as much as, and part of the lecture on freedom that I give is that we first and foremost, and this is going to hit some people the wrong way, I don't know that as many of us are actually ready for freedom the way that we think that we are. That's number one.
I agree.
Right? Number two, freedom is very different than liberation. And I think that we have to decide whether we are looking and holding liberation as being paramount or whether we're holding freedom as being paramount. That's number two. And then number three, our idea and perceptions around freedom are very different. And I think and they unfortunately are structured around wherever we are in American society, or wherever we believe we are in American society, because a lot of us are more aligned in the same place than we think, but we just sort of allow the trappings of socioeconomic station, class, and wealth to make us believe that we're somehow in a different place. But in terms of what freedom actually means and looks like, I think that is a very layered conversation when you say, are they helping us get free? Because the question becomes, what does that mean?